Every time you go out with your friends to do some sort of activity, maybe it's a Friday night and you guys want to go to the nightclub, right? Do you have a good time there? Like genuinely, do you go there, have a good time, sing songs with your friends, dance with them? In all things said, probably yes, you enjoyed the time that you spend with your friends in an area where you're dancing, listening to music. But what keeps you going into these sort of scenarios with your friends? Could you not also enjoy the time that you spend with them by, I don't know, staying at home, watching a movie, playing some board games, something simple, and not just going to the club each time? All I want to talk about today is why you maybe keep on going to nightclubs and why people are specifically attracted to this sort of environment when it defies all sort of like common knowledge and like logic about maybe why you shouldn't go. So let's talk about it a little bit more. So how nightclubs basically operate is basically you go to the bouncer, right? You get your cover charge or you get your table, you go in, and then there's like service, so you can get bottles, you can go to the bar, or just have fun with whatever the DJ is playing. Then the last step, have fun, enjoy it, whatever with your friends. Your friend might leave, throw up, some drama or some dating stuff might come up. People make out, people go home together, all that sort of things, and that's just the environment that nightclubs sort of foster. And when you think about it in a large scale, and this is like the sort of social dynamic between men and women in those sort of places, is the guys typically have to pay more than the girls, or the girls get in free sort of thing. So you're kind of like paying to go meet these girls, right? And obviously, if you're going with friends, right, the case is that not specifically that you're going after the girls in this case, but that you're paying basically just to go with friends, right? So that's fair, right? You should have to pay to get a service that they're providing, right? But if you're just a single guy, or you are like many of the people that go to clubs are, or you're with friends, basically you are paying for a search service that you're not guaranteed to even talk with a girl or do anything like that. Basically, you're buying the access to take the action on a girl in an environment where she is vulnerable in some sort of cases, right? And that's obviously just like a pinpointing on one specific scenario that could happen in the nightclub, right? In one certain area. But the point is, right? It's very targeted to a specific demographic, and it's more targeted for people who are in groups. And so the group thing really matters here because of a lot of the social pressure and stuff that goes into it, a lot of FOMO, right? But let's talk about, I guess, a little bit more so the nightclubs, in particular, the dark mechanics behind them, right? So they tend to be pretty packed, right? Let's focus on these ones. 6, 7 guys, six, 7, funny. Um, the dark mechanics of it and why they are so packed a lot of the times is because the more people obviously that they get into, the more drinks that they sell, the more money that they make at the door. And so when they're extremely packed, they're usually violating the fire hazard capacity, right? So you can only have a certain number of people in a space. Uh, but if they defy that and they know, oh, well, cops are probably maybe not going to come, nobody's going to call it on the place because nobody wants to ruin the fun time everyone's having, right? So no need to call it, right? Unless they happen to like stroll by and stuff. But we want to maximize profit in that way. Another thing is like cash skimming, and this is more particular among the people that work there, right? You could skim stuff from the register. If you're a bartender or stuff like that, you don't really keep track of everything if there's just cash that's going around. A lot of people pay card, but cash is also common, right? So just you don't know where the money's going. It's all getting mixed up. The taxes, like the accountant for these sort of places, are probably like scratching their heads like what's going on, right? Drug tolerance is also very high. If you look in a lot of like if you watch Law and Order, like the Special Victims Unit, a lot of the sort of like stereotypical scenarios is for people who get drugged or people who drink too much and something bad happens is at bars or at these nightclubs, right? So even when someone or an employee recognizes the drug tolerance, or I guess like the alcohol, and alcohol can be a drug, tolerance is even at a maximum, or maybe they should leave. Most of the time, they aren't mandated, or sometimes not even allowed to say anything and just continue to keep serving. And obviously, some states have mandated it otherwise. But if they want to maximize profit and get money for themselves, sometimes people will disregard that, and so that's kind of a bad thing, right? And the last thing, the silent partners want to point out. So the person who actually owns the LLC behind like closed doors, right? They're the entity and also like the people or board members that own this sort of structure where this nightclub is happening, right? And so they kind of just take all the cash flow and they have a manager that works there and they probably don't even reside in the town usually where this sort of action is happening. So you just have all this money getting piped through to somebody who you don't even know who's organizing it, which like many businesses and services are. But I still think it's interesting how all of these sort of like illegal things can happen, and it's very simple, straightforward, and like being held accountable is like super hard with a lot of these because there's a lot of fraud, and a lot of like dark mechanics involved. So yeah, I just wanted to talk on that about nightclubs. So uh, one of the main reasons that you probably can't stop going out with friends to do these sort of things. One is that you have been accustomed to it so much that you actually genuinely like it, which I don't think is a majority of people. Like, you might like to go to bars to try different drinks or, I guess, services from the establishment, which is valid, I guess, if that is a hobby or something. Pretty bad hobby, if you ask me. But the other sort of more obvious scenario is that uh, you have done this so many times with other people that you cannot have the feeling of missing out, which is FOMO, right? So this is more of like a social survival instinct. If you hear people, oh my God, there's going to be this DJ, they're going to be, at this club, let's go tonight. I have a few friends going, they got bottles, tables, whatever. You don't want to miss that because um, in reality, even if you don't want to go, you cannot afford to not go because you want this sort of like status and performance either on social media or the people, or you don't want people to think, oh, you're not cool and stuff like that. But sometimes you just don't have to give a shit about what other people think. And a lot of times you don't. Because if you go there, you're going to spend all of this money, you're going to do all the things that you genuinely do not like to do just because you don't want other people to think badly of you or think, oh, this guy's like a loser. What the hell are you doing? Like, everyone, like, is going to be thinking about that about you. Like, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, like, you probably should not be hanging out with those people, right? Because, like I said at the beginning, you can enjoy a lot of other things with those same friends that would be just as enjoyable on a Friday, Saturday night, at your home, somewhere else, doing something else, right? And it would be completely fine, right? And it's not even about the sort of like drinks or the drugs or the bad things that could possibly happen. It's about you having the control over your life to say no and to not fall into the FOMO trap of other people trying to not, well, them not directly controlling you, but you getting control of yourself so that other people do not influence you in a way that puts you in a bad position, right? And so that's what I call like the dead logic sort of thing. So I put this here because we like evolving, like this is like a human instinct that we have, right? To just like not be left out and continuously like move with people. Like, humans are, I guess, like bound to socialize with one another. So I had this graph, sort of like a flowchart here. Why going out and being pressured socially kind of defies all logic, and you might not realize it at times, or maybe you do now. I hope you do. Um, so this is the kind of loop of how it goes. Let me get a little drawing thing here. So FOMO. Everyone's going but you. Oh shit. Well, maybe I should go. Logically, you probably are resistant. Maybe you have an exam. Maybe you have a job interview next day. Whatever it may be. But if you don't go, this sort of like group identity that you have with them, like, you might damage that social reputation. But if you do go, you kind of have this performance, right? It's like you're being seen, you're out there, you're having good times, good memories, and so that's a positive performance, and so you will be rewarded for that. But if you don't go, it's going to be extremely negative. The point I want to make here is that if you are going, if you have friends where these sort of two options exist, there's a positive and a negative, they should not be your friends in the first place. Because if you choose not to go, there should be no repercussions. Those people are not genuinely like your friends, right? Or um, they should not critique you or think badly of you in this way if you choose not to go, because it is like, obviously, one, your choice, but two, also in most cases the right choice. Now, and these are what I call basically like your cemented beliefs, right? You should not be like sort of critiqued by your friends in any sort of way because of the way um, that you want to approach this situation, right? And so, yeah, kind of like social media validates it, right? When you see all the positive stuff online about it, like, let's say you don't go, right? Okay, you make that choice, and then you see later, oh, all these people had such a great time, but I didn't. Don't let that get to you, right? It's like you chose not to go, and you made that decision, and hopefully it was a positive decision for you because you had maybe something else to do, or I don't know, whatever it may be, right? So cement your beliefs, and the people around you should not influence you in that way negatively, regardless of whatever choice you made. So yeah, one, nothing makes sense most of the time. Now, a lot of you are probably like, Ramon, what the hell are you saying? I have such a good time. I don't even care about the consequences. I'm not saying that you don't have a good time. I'm saying that you can enjoy your time with friends or other people or whatever hobby that you do in another way, such that you do not get those consequences that you owe so dear love, apparently. So that's kind of like the main point that I want to make with that. And social pressure is generally not good. Addiction is not good because you don't want to be. I personally, I don't want to see somebody who is going to a bar every other night or every weekend, and I only go there maybe like once a year or something like that. Just kind of like negative vibes from that. So yeah, that's kind of like the loop that I wanted to give here. And then you wake up hungover, and you're just like, oh shit. That, that's usually what the nightclubbing sort of thing is like. But yeah, consider the different types of activities that you can do that's not sort of like related to all this partying stuff. You can have a much better time doing activities outside of this that are equally as enjoyable. So yeah, consider that, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.